Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M Aggies have to answer one question in the 2023 season. What is the standard for Aggie football? Hello, everyone. I'm Blaine Gilmer, and this is Southeastern 14, the YouTube channel and podcast platform that covers all things SEC. I handle football coverage during the offseason, and Chris, Lee, and Blake Lovell do a great job covering basketball and baseball, both men's and women's basketball, actually, in the SEC. So if you're looking for daily SEC content, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. All right, so without further ado, now let's get into Texas A&M football in the 2023 season. So far, the Jimbo Fisher era in College Station, been some mixed results. The Aggies are 39-21 during Jimbo Fisher's tenure for an average of just under 8 wins per season and just over 4 losses per season. Yes, that includes COVID-shortened 2020 season. That was a conference-only schedule, was very impressive, 9 wins, during that year. They had Kellen Mond. They win the Orange Bowl that year. But still, the big question for Texas A&M is, what is the standard? It seems like they'll take a step forward and, whether that's in the offseason in recruiting or that's, actually like that 2020 season, having a good year and then take 2 steps back. And listen, I know that the buyout and the money and the contract to not only Jimbo Fisher, but a lot of the assistants there and things like that has been kind of an issue, but it's come now time to answer what is the standard for Texas A&M football, especially with this pivotal 2023 season. Jimbo Fisher has brought in an all-time recruiting class in the class of 2022. When you do that, when that happens, you are definitely putting a target on your back. The Collective Football Society and even most media do not understand that despite the tremendous amounts of talent that some of these prospects come into in college now, out of high school, in the SEC, you're not going to win relying heavily on true freshmen. If that's Evan Stewart as your number 1 receiver, if that's having to plug in a Connor Wigman right off the bat at quarterback, if that's having to mix in some offensive linemen, some guys on the defensive front, even as talented as they may be, you're not going to do it right away. But the expectation is there because everybody sees all the stars and all the ratings and stuff like that. So whether it's fair or, unfair, wise or unwise, you're going to have that target on your back, especially after you've had a decent season going into it, or you beat Alabama maybe the year before, something along those lines, how that went. But then you start the 2022 season the way that A&M did, with a lackluster performance against the Sam Houston State, with an embarrassing loss at home against App State, a rock fight against what turned out to be a very bad Miami team, and then getting thumped by Mississippi State on the road. All of that happened in the first 5 games. And the reaction to it, is going to be panic-filled and visceral when something like that happens. The year overall just did not go how Texas A&M desired, but it's the inconsistency, I think, that drove people crazy. They played inconsistently all year. You take Alabama to the absolute limit. You beat an LSU team that won the SEC West late in the year, but then in the middle of all that too, you're up 13-3 on UMass in the 4th quarter. Quite simply, Texas A&M can't make excuses any longer. Yes, a lot of that talented 2022 class has transferred out. The roster has even changed a little bit more since then. There's still plenty of talent, though, on this team. I mentioned inconsistency, and most of that spawns from the offensive side of the football. Okay, most has to do with Jimbo Fisher's offense, and we have to address the latest comments. Not too long ago, a press conference to open up spring, Jimbo Fisher's asked about the Bobby Petrino hire that he took on. Okay, that as offensive coordinator, this man was hired and named offensive coordinator, and somebody takes a basically a ball and puts it on a tee for Jimbo Fisher just to take and just knock out of the park, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He stumbled. He said, "Oh, yeah, we'll evaluate it as it goes forward and all that." I anticipate him calling the plays, all that kind of stuff. Just come out and say Bobby Petrino is going to be our offensive coordinator, and the offense is going to, look different. We're going to have a lot of success this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Jimbo couldn't help because that's who he is. He's an offensive guru. That's how he's made his reputation. He's built his reputation about being an offensive guru, a developer of quarterbacks, all these kind of things. So when your offense has not had success, like Jimbo's has not had success at Texas A&M, then it's a hit to the ego a little bit. And the question is, will that be a stumbling block for Texas A&M in the 2023 season? Or will he, as the kids say, will he just let Bobby Petrino go in there and cook? Let him do his thing, okay? Let him go in there and, Bill Parcells used to be famous for saying, okay, so you want me to cook the meal, but you don't want to let me get the ingredients, right? Well, that he's got to let Bobby Petrino go in there and put all the different ingredients, make the recipe, tweak it however he wants to make this Texas A&M offense successful. Kind of the West Coast short dink and dunk passing game, play action type stuff that Jimbo's doing hasn't been successful. It's time for a change. You can see, you have to look no further than the quarterback play. Listen, the quarterback play in 2022 wasn't great. You had Connor Wegman and Haynes King both finish at 55% pass completion on the year. Now, Connor Wegman did take care of the football a lot more. He had 8 touchdowns during his 5 games and no interceptions. Max Johnson, he completed 60% of his passes, but he only played in 4 games, and now Haynes King, of course, has gone to Georgia Tech, and that just didn't seem like a good fit from the beginning. Haynes King, athletic guy, but just not as efficient in the passing game as he needs to be. So he's transferred to Georgia Tech. Connor Wigman's going to be the guy in 2023. And listen, it's not like that Connor Wegman is some guy that they're hoping grows into something. This is a guy that Jimbo Fisher himself called the best quarterback in the class of 2022 and even justified A&M not trying to even attempt to get in the sweepstakes for Quinn Ewers when he was leaving Ohio State in the portal because of Weigman being there. So the trigger man is now in place, and it's not like he doesn't have weapons to throw to. All right. When you're talking about this Texas A&M team, listen, Jimbo's calling that offense. They've got a talented 2022 class, like we said, that includes some weapons. Look on the defensive side of the ball. You got guys like Shamar Stewart that were in that class. Evan Stewart was in that class on the offensive side. But Connor Wigman here, he has weapons to throw to. And they start with Evan Stewart. All right. Evan Stewart, he was the number 1 guy last year. He was a freshman. Like I said, not an ideal situation, but they've got Moose Muhammad there. Anais Smith is returning after injury. He only played 4 games because of that right leg injury. Those 3 combined last year for 1,550 yards, 106 catches. And now they go out and they add Tyron Smith in the portal from UTEP. 71 catches, 1,039 yards, 7 TDs in the 2022 season for UTEP. So this is a guy that is comfortable getting the ball in his hands and letting him do work. Raymond Cottrell, he flipped from Georgia to sign with Texas A&M late in the class of 2023. So he's a freshman that could possibly contribute. And then got a good tight end room. Donovan Green, very athletic, 6'5", 250 pounds, can move, a good red zone threat, can actually create after the catch. He's at tight end. Of course, Jake Johnson, a guy that was from Georgia, LSU, both wanted, tremendously. So Jake Johnson, he should be able to contribute this year after playing limited amounts last year. All right. So on the offensive line, they were banged up last year. Okay. A lot of mixing and matching going on, but there should be a good core of experience coming back. All right. And when you're talking about Ruben Feathery right there. Ruben Feathery is a guy who anchored the right side of that offensive line last year. He is now taking reps at left tackle during spring as we record this. They've flipped him over. He's taking reps at left tackle. Chase Basantis, a true freshman that comes in, he's taking reps with the first team at the right tackle. Now, Bryce Foster is off doing track and field. He's still recovering from that injury last year with Alabama. So the question is, can there be more cohesiveness in this offensive line? Listen, you got Bryce Foster and Cam Dewberry there at center and left guard. If Ruben Feathery, a guy who's very experienced, if he gets to flip over to left tackle, then, you can do some things with helping Chip with the tight end on that right side and stuff like that. Maybe use some different type of protections to help protect the young Chase Basantis or something like that. I think the depth is still maybe an issue on this offensive line. So they got to remain healthy, but guys in the middle are going to be very, very good. Cam Dewberry, Bryce Foster, and Layden Robinson. So Layden Robinson, redshirt senior, he's a guy that has a lot of experience as well. And I forgot to mention in that tight end room, Max Wright. So listen, they've got some guys who are going to be very, very good at the running back position behind this offensive line. You've got Amari Daniels, Le'Veon Moss, and Ruben Owens, all that are going to be competing for time. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on there. Defensively, like we said before, the talent is there. Out of that class of 2022, Shamar Stewart is there. All right. And he's a guy that they brought in with tremendously high expectations. At one point, he was the number one recruit in the class. But this guy pictured on the screen right here, Damani Richardson, comes back when everybody expected him to go to the NFL at that strong safety position. He provides a lot of leadership on the back end there. And he's a guy who can, he's a hard-hitting safety. He's a guy who can do some good things in coverage, but it's his leadership that I think they're going to really, really like the most. Tony Grimes comes over from North Carolina, so he should be slotted right in there at corner. They got Bryce Anderson at the nickel. So some talented players on the back end. I think the linebacking core is a little thin when it comes to depth and experience. They really in there too deep. They're going to end up having some freshmen kind of play behind some more experienced guys like a Chris Russell and Adrian Cooper. But up front is where that talent really is. When you're talking about Fadil Diggs, Shamar Turner, McKinley Jackson, Shamar Stewart, then you got LT Overton that he may not even be a starter, but he can come in and play at a tremendously high level. Walter Nolan and I White, all of these guys, very, very talented, have done a lot of really good things early on in their career, because that defense wasn't always the problem now for Texas A&M. So it's going to be interesting to see how things turn out on that side of the ball. But that has not been their problem. It's been inconsistency on the offensive end for Texas A&M. Now let's look at the schedule. Okay. When we're talking about the schedule here, we need to take into account that these games that are supposedly cupcake games, New Mexico, okay, ULM, if you're Texas A&M and you want to get Abilene Christian, you're Texas A&M and you want to get to a standard, all right, the question is, what is the standard? What does success look like in 2023? Those cupcake games, those have to be just smash games. And I know it's not all about statistics. I know it's not about things like that, but you've got to instill a little confidence in your team, instill some confidence in Connor Wegman early on with that New Mexico game by coming out and airing things out and getting confidence with those receivers, building up a rapport with that offensive line, protecting Connor Wegman, because you're going to go to Miami the next week, in week 2 after that New Mexico game, and you're going to play in what is, listen, it's not a great environment there at Miami. Who knows if people even come out? It's going to be early on in the year. People may be at the beach still. They don't have a great home environment in Miami. So there's not going to be a whole lot of juice in that stadium, okay? And you're going to have to be able to bring it yourself. It is a opportunity for Texas A&M to really start out strong. And listen, you get Auburn at home before you have to go to a neutral site game there with Arkansas, a game that's always a back and forth crazy game with the Razorbacks. So Texas A&M has a real opportunity to start this thing off 4-0. Okay. And if they do that, if they start this season off 4-0, and then anything can happen in that game at AT&T Stadium with Arkansas, I think what you're looking at, if you're Texas A&M, no more than one loss before the bye week. If you have more than one loss before the bye week, because you get Alabama at home, Alabama's got questions at quarterback. Jimbo Fisher always plays good against Alabama and Nick Saban. Even last year, they were not a good football team. Texas A&M wasn't. They did not execute, as Jimbo Fisher says, worth a darn. He did pin that on the players as well, that, it's not the scheme. It's more about the execution and things like that. So you got to wonder how comments like that go over in the locker room. But when we're talking about Texas A&M here, there's every game up until October 7th is a game that if you're talking about what Texas A&M standards should be, they should win those games. Then you got two tough ones against Alabama and Tennessee there before the bye week. South Carolina, you get them at home. This is the last year of that crossover. You got to go to Ole Miss, Mississippi State at home, another home game with Abilene Christian, and then at LSU. At Tennessee and at LSU, two raucous environments that they have to go into in 2023. So when we're talking about it, listen, I think if you're Texas A&M and you've invested so much in your football program, you've invested so much in Jimbo Fisher, now you've gone out and got a really high-quality offensive coordinator, in my estimation, by Bobby Petrino. Listen, I know that man's got his baggage and stuff like that, but he is a very, very good play caller. If Jimbo Fisher will just turn that thing over and let him work there on that offensive side of the ball, I think you'll see growth in Connor Wegman. I think you'll see explosive plays out of Evan Stewart, Moose Muhammad, Anais Smith, and then I think you'll even see those tight ends have success as well. The thing about this is just when it comes down to it, on the games themselves, are they able to start fast and not have it tighten up on them? Because there's been games that they should have been up on. They should have had things going well early that they didn't. And if they can get that success earlier in the year, I think the standard for Texas A&M should be, a 9-win regular season this year. They're still young in a lot of positions, but if they can't win 9 games, 8-4 has been the joke. Like people say, hey, August 4th is A&M day because they always go 8-4. Well, that was before last year when they went sub 500, right? So I think you need to come out and have a 9-win regular season with an opportunity to win a 10th game in the bowl game. And then in 2024, you're looking at, okay, now we can compete and we can be a threat in the SEC in 2024. And you better take advantage and have a good year this year because Texas is coming in, Oklahoma's coming in, and now they get to have that SEC on their chest and recruit and things like that as well. So it's going to be interesting. Texas A&M in 2023. I'm fascinated. I can't wait to watch it all. So make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications if you want to hear more of our football coverage this offseason. For Southeastern 14, I'm Blaine Gilmer, and we'll catch you guys next time.